Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Can USA overtake Canada and get that gold, Joe?
Absolutely, they can here. And ultimately, it feels like that is the two-horse race. And I think ultimately, Canadians don't really care if their team competes in the luge or the bobsled, Donnie, or anything else. They just want that gold when it comes to ice hockey. And that is the only thing that's going to matter there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying
Right?
that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on Kraft.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
But I will say, at 4.5 and over, I've been with covers for 20 plus years now. I've been betting for a long time. When it comes to 4 and 4.5 point spreads, if I'm looking at the favorite, I do not lay the points. I go straight to the money line, knowing that it's minus 200. This has been a no man's land for football betting in the NFL, basically since 2015, since they moved the point after touchdown back.
In-game live, only on Sport.
Time decisions we look to get in the mix with you on a Wednesday night on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, happy to be here from the decisions desk, and I will let you know right now we set the stage. We've got boost. We're cooking up parlays. That's what's happening right now. All right? Legs are being thrown out there. Jalen Johnson, big favorites on the road, Mooney line. When's that ever gone wrong? We're going to add these to the card. I am in a friendship mood. I am, despite what people will tell you. So feel free to tweet at the Kevin Walsh, at SportsGrid, or specifically at KrisKofsky22. If you have a leg for a little friendship parlay, let us know, okay? Because we're looking to get in the mix. We are looking to be involved here on an NBA slate. It is why on this Wednesday night, we have Tom Vecchio knocking on the door. He will join us in 10 minutes' time, talking a little Olympic hockey, but we will also be involved with this NBA slate tonight. It's an expansive NBA slate. There are a number of options, though it is always filled with landmines, and we've added some new reasons to be without key guys in Charlotte, Atlanta, and Toronto, Detroit, due to the brouhaha that broke out the other day. Moussa Diabate and Miles Bridges suspended for Charlotte. Atlanta had a pretty expansive injury report. That is cleaned up. Jalen Johnson will play. Dyson Daniels will play. So the Hawks are now just a 2.5-point home dog in that spot. I'm actually quite tempted to get Charlotte on my card. I've got room for one more, and they may just end up making the spot. For the Toronto game up against the Pistons, it's a rare spot. You don't see this very often for the Pistons. No Duren, no Stewart, each because of the suspension. So it's actually about to become a little bit more commonplace. I've gone through it. I've checked once. I've checked twice. I don't believe Cade Cunningham has actually played a game this season where both Stewart and Jalen Duren were out. So it's kind of a different sample size. You have Ron Holland also missing this game for a personal reason. These are some of the very most important pieces of this Pistons defense. I'm a bit tempted to add over on my card. We know the Raptors are a get-up-and-down team. Their front court pretty injured. No Jakob Poeltl, no Colin Murray-Boyles in this basketball game. So perhaps we will go out there, although maybe Poeltl could still be ruled in. I'll double-check that. That game's at 7:30, so we'll double-check that. That game we could potentially play towards the over. The best game on this slate tonight, at least from an odds perspective, looks to be Sixers-Knicks, though no Joel Embiid has flipped this line as New York now is going to close as a slight favorite in the city of brotherly love. That is a big-time East Coast matchup. On the West, Victor Wembanyama looks to follow up one of the best games of his young career, a 40-point effort in just 26 minutes against the Los Angeles Lakers, scoring 25 first-quarter points and 37 in the first half. If it was not for a dominant blowout, Wemby could have not only scored 50, but, he reasonably could have scored 60, 65 in that game yesterday, especially if he was wanting to. Again, Victor Wembanyama scored just 3 points in the second half and still gave you a 40-piece in that game. He follows it up tonight on the second leg of a back-to-back in Golden State. I would not expect Stephon Castle to play in this game, who took a tough fall. With this being the second leg of a back-to-back, almost the All-Star break, would feel a bit unnecessary, and that's informing one of the options that's actually going to be on my card tonight from the NBA of it all. As far as your college basketball slate tonight, it feels like we have upset watch in a few spots, as we saw some upsets trickle in yesterday. TCU knocks off Iowa State. Thanks. Right after we take Iowa State to win the national championship. It's fine. It's not costly. Didn't really move the number. But you'd like, the first game after a placement to, put a win on the board. It's okay. The big one for Iowa State's this weekend against Kansas. Wisconsin knocked off Illinois in overtime. By the way, Purdue, different level by a lot of upset, but they ended up salvaging a collapse that very much so could have ruined their season with the win at Nebraska. Minor upset for Miami over North Carolina. So, heck, Vanderbilt, a top 20 team in the country, upset Auburn yesterday, despite that, of course, being a non-ranked matchup there. So we saw upsets pile in, and you do have a couple of games here where you say, all right, this isn't going to be easy. Florida laying single digits on the road against Georgia. But Florida has their head down right now, and they are dominating teams. And this is a Georgia offense that has been kind of trending the wrong direction. Will they be able to score on this Gators defense? It's a legitimate question. UConn is at Butler in their first game in nearly a week, and it's the first time since they've played St. John's. You would imagine UConn, off of just their second loss this year, will step up in a major way. Well, time will tell. Okay, the Big East has teams that occasionally step up. Is Butler going to be one of them tonight? It's an 11.5-point number. Michigan, top 2 Michigan, goes to Northwestern, laying 15.5. I will say the Wildcats are a little tempting to me here in their home arena. This should be a game that you get all the students in the building for, and it's, hey, like maybe us tonight, right? They hung enough with Illinois. They lost by 9. They ultimately lost the game to Nebraska, though, at home by 19. They recently hung with Iowa, but that was after losing by 40 to Illinois. I stayed away, even if Northwestern looks, again, a little bit tempting to me in that spot. Some other items that we will be hitting on this Wednesday night. Major League Baseball with a bit of a busy day, and mostly not really positive news. A couple of their star youngsters could be out opening day. Francisco Lindor, Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holliday, and all just hand injuries for some reason. I don't know if there's some correlation, but that's what we're seeing right now in Major League Baseball. And I've talked about it before here. This is a baseball show, right? With It's kind of a favorite for a lot of our producers, and baseball takes up a big chunk of a calendar that they get to own. And we will start to, I think, pepper in some of our baseball previews and get you ready for it all. Pitchers and catchers reported. Your first spring training action is going to be 9 days from now. I think it's a week from Friday. We're going to have spring training baseball, so we're going to continue to just follow some of that. And what you're also getting, by the way, is the return of pro baseball today, this weekend on SportsGrid with Donnie Rightside and Tom Vecchio. So I'm excited to get Tom in and get some thoughts from him around that as well. We'll check in on the Olympics, specifically the hockey, where I think that's going to be the by far most bet on sport at the Olympics. And we get Cam Stewart tonight, which I'm super excited about. Excited to see Cam post Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. But we also have his signature event this week here on the PGA Tour at Pebble Beach, where Scottie Scheffler is back. He's booked as a huge favorite. What is that going to look like? Where could the value be beyond Scotty? We'll get Cam's thoughts on that as well. But we get over to Tom Vecchio. What is the NBA board offering? Major League Baseball, Olympic hockey. It's all on deck with Tom here on Game Time Decisions.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields, because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. I am telling you. Sometimes you get the vibe. It's a good one, folks. You are in for a good one. I just got a great producing tip. They were like, hey, listen, let's just circle in. We need to finalize a couple of items in the rundown. Find a way in code to translate to me your best bet. So in code, we'll see if we can decipher this. Ole Miss plus the 6.5. We'll see if you can decipher that and get it into the rundown. I'm telling you, a part of the fun, it's our guy Tom Vecchio, one half of Pro Baseball today. We'll talk some baseball in a bit, Tom, but You're a do-it-all kind of guy. NBA calls your attention here on a night like this. What do we got?
Yeah, let's go to the Raptors. Let's turn to Scotty Barnes over 8.5 rebounds. It's sitting at -102 on DK. It's -106 on FanDuel. Of course, shop for the best lines available. The Pistons, they're going to be missing a bit of size, right? So this is like a time for Scotty Barnes to jump in. I'll be honest, I'm not too worried about Mamukelashvili taking a ton of minutes and or rebounds away from Scotty Barnes. So when we see Scotty Barnes, more often than not pushing towards double-digit rebounds, I'll take the 8.5 in an advantageous spot for him, knowing that the Pistons are just missing some size out there due to the suspensions. So yeah, fire it up.
Look, I think it's a good look. I think that is a game to bet into, right? With some of those suspensions, some of those trends are going to become a little more obvious, so you certainly can be patient. But they're especially Detroit, losing your starting and backup center in a 1-2 combination like that is going to make a difference, right? Detroit would not be booked as a dog otherwise. Look, I think you could easily argue, hey, we don't know if that's going to ruin this Detroit team. I'm taking them on the money line. Great team. They're going to be up for the game. I think you can surely make an argument of that nature. I have absolutely no problem with that. I'm doing something a little bit similar, Tom, with my favorite play in the NBA tonight, which is LaMelo Ball over the 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. No Miles Bridges, no Moussa Diabate. Those are not one-to-one LaMelo guys, right? Like, those are forwards. But the reality is those are a couple of starters. And you're now just going to have, more usage out there and available. And LaMelo, especially of this Charlotte Big Three with he, Miller, and Knipple, is the guy who is likeliest to fill up any of those categories well through projected numbers, right? He's the one who could have a triple-double. I would say of the trio, he's the likeliest to give us 30-plus points. So for that reason, I'm on LaMelo Ball's points, rebounds, assists tonight.
Yeah, right. When situations happen like this, obviously everything's a little bit different with just an injury or a suspension of players being out multiple games. To your point, like Detroit, they need to be up for this game, as you're alluding to. Like, this is just an all hands on deck kind of game. So like if you wanted to look to a Tobias Harris or PRA or Thompson PRA, just because everyone has to do just a little bit more, like I would say like now's the time to strike, because it's not like this is going to be a multi-week thing. Like, it's just a couple of games for these players. So like you want to get in and get out, like get in when the number's at 32, because by the end of this stretch, that number could be 36, and it's like not a big difference, but I want to bet it when I can.
It's a difference enough, right, to your point there, Tom. So I agree with you 100% on the sentiment. Now, I do we'll be able to go over some other NBA spots in just a little bit, but there's a couple of different items on the menu that I wanted to ask you about here on this Wednesday night. I'm going to start with the Olympic hockey because, I will say this. I didn't think that the Winter Olympics would grab my attention too much, right? It's a lot of random sports. You know this. I'm not the biggest hockey guy in the world. On in my house, it feels like every night. It's on during the day, right? So there's an appetite to watch, and that translates. There's an appetite to bet. And I think the easiest thing for people to get involved with betting-wise is the hockey. As someone, though, who's into, hockey and understands it, bets it nightly like yourself, how do you find the transition from betting the NHL to the Olympic game?
It's been interesting to start. Today was the first day for the men's games where Finland were minus 350 or so on the money line. They lose outright to Slovakia. We have Sweden, who just finished their game versus Italy. Sweden set an Olympic record for the most shots on goal at 60 in a game with an Olympic that has NHL players. The puck line for them was 4.5. They didn't cover that. So, we have seen them dominate Italy, but they just didn't get enough goals. Slovakia, who's the underdog, they come out when they have a goalie who's a goalie at Iowa, the AHL team for Minnesota, and he completely shut down Finland, a team that is far more talented than Slovakia. Now, this does not say that Slovakia doesn't have talent. Juraj Slavkovsky, who scored the opening goal for them, he's on the Habs. He's a great player. They have mostly NHL players and some former NHL players who are now playing back in their home country. But there haven't been many trends. Tomorrow to see Switzerland steamroll France wouldn't surprise me. right? And it's not, and the point I'm making is, the underdogs were live today. I'm not sure that could carry over to tomorrow because there's enough NHL players on Switzerland that they could just take care of business versus France. The one thing I will say is goal differential matters for the second place teams as we move past groups. So I think teams are going to play things tight to begin with because they don't want things to get out of control. But if they can't secure the top seed, they want that second place seed to get a bye because the best second place team of the groups gets that fourth bye. There's 3 groups. Each of the group winners gets a bye, and the next best second place team gets the last bye. So goal differential plays into that. I think it'll happen more as group stage goes on.
Yeah, I think it's great insight, Tom. I'm curious. Have you been looking into the prop markets at all?
Yeah.
Like, I know you love a plus money goal scorer. These are plus money despite big totals.
Yeah, I bet Mikko Rantanen for Finland didn't come through. Jake Gensel tomorrow for Team USA. I'm on that. There are shot prop markets up. They're not up for Canada or USA tomorrow. I think they'll be posted in the morning. I saw them this morning for the games today. So I'm waiting for shot props to come through, but it's completely random. We saw Philip Forsberg for Sweden, one of the best players on Sweden. He played 1 minute today. They sat him the entire game. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, a defender on Team Sweden, was dressed on the bench, did not play a single shift. Like, they had him on the bench and they just decided not to use him or Forsberg for some unknown reason. So there's something up in the air and we just don't know what's going to happen all the time.
Still got to be smart about it, right? I mean, I think that's probably it's the Olympics. It's something different, but it's why we got someone like Tom Vecchio helping us out. We're going to hit a couple of more line items with Tom after the break on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like, I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch 5 if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
GameTime decisions on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, I am joined by Tom Vecchio. This weekend, you will see the debut of Pro Baseball Today. Those guys do an excellent job. I am telling you, Tom and Donnie, they cap the Major League Baseball board every day. I know we are not there yet, but it's going to be really helpful to get you guys ready for this season. There's a couple of things, though, Tom, coming up. No pun intended, a couple of curveballs here. Some injuries, big names, Lindor, Carroll, Jackson Holiday. Is this random bad luck? Well, it feels like it's all at once.
It does feel like it's all at once, seeing that all the players, and this happens all the time, where, we're seeing like Reese Olson today was announced that he had season-ending surgery. Why did he not have surgery in December? Right? Like I have these questions, like why is he not having surgery in November, December, and he could come back maybe in July or August? I don't know. Like I have these questions every single year. I think these are just bad luck things. It does impact rosters for the World Baseball Classic. But to your point, Donnie and I will go through all this starting on Sunday, every Sunday. We're going to preview the season, and these injuries have an impact on win totals, on chances to win the division. Because if Lindor is out, and they said it's like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is, he may miss the start of the season. But realistically, he's going to be back. He may start off slow, but he'll be good to go.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, how much could it shift a win total, right? You imagine not too much. Is there a world that any of this lingers? You hope not, right? Give people an idea, Tom. I don't give away too much. I'm sure you'll get into it on Sunday, but timing-wise, because you're very good in that futures market for baseball, specifically with player props.
Yeah.
When does some of that start for you?
I will say there's always a time to lock in unders. If you could just take unders just because you're banking on the injuries. Like if you were on a Corbin Carroll, Lindor under RBIs, under stolen bases, like you're locked into that number. And that's a great bet at this point because they may not start the season. He may not be running as much because they want to protect his hands to start the season. So if you have an under number, like he has to exceed that pace in the second half of the season once he's fully healthy. That just may never come to fruition. So I'd be willing to bet unders as early as possible if I'm confident in it. When it comes to betting overs, I wait as long as possible sometimes because I just want to know that they're going to be healthy to start the season. There are going to be players that get hurt. Like they even started games, right? It's just pitchers and catchers. We're just starting to get the players there. They haven't even started inter squad scrimmages. So if I lock in an over and a player gets hurt in the third spring training game and he's not going to be back to Memorial Day, that's just a dead prop. So I would at least wait a little bit.
Okay, so and the timing of this stuff is always going to be important, right? No doubt about it. Tom, just quickly before we let you go, and I appreciate it, of course. It's a question that it goes back to the hockey. It'll be important for me to ask it again, but I want to ask it while I'm thinking about it. Are you going to have to be very careful betting the NHL when that league does return following the Olympics?
You will, and this happened last year. In the first game back, the Oilers were minus 200 or so at Philadelphia. The Flyers were terrible. But in that first game back for the Flyers, they got 5 or 6 players back off of IR, right? Just because they weren't playing in the Four Nations. So getting just that injection of raw talent, even though it's less than the Oilers, like that team at home with those players back in the lineup means something. So yes, to your point, you have to be careful because, there are some teams that have 4, 5, 6 players across different countries that are going to be playing. If they get banged up, they're a little bit slow. They're going to be on a long road trip. They're going to be playing 3 games in 4 nights. I'm going to be looking to fade some of those teams that have a lot of, a lot of players in action. I will also be looking to back players that got snubbed, like Jason Robertson didn't get on Team USA. I will be looking to back his goal props very early and very often as soon as those games resume.
Okay, that's going to be interesting then. I mean, I think it's just a whole different thing, right? Like we talk about with the NBA and the All-Star break that's coming up, right? And it's like, hey, those first couple games, just keep your head on a swivel, right? I think it might be more impactful in the NBA, Tom, on the way out, right? With some of these injury reports that we're seeing heading into the All-Star game. But this is it's a long break, but it's also not a break for everyone. So it's a very weird kind of balance to try and walk there. Before we let you go, remind people, USA Latvia, what are you really looking to line up for that one tomorrow?
Jake Gensel goal. He's going to be on the second power play unit. I think that's going to be a really good spot for him. He can be one of their primary shooters there. You can always, and then for the Canada game, I would also say look to back McKinnon for 2 points at that plus money. McDavid's also 2 points. But McKinnon had an interview and said that he is there not to have a good time. He's there to win.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. You got to respect that. Tom Vecchio, excellent as always. We're going to go through your college card on a Wednesday night after the break on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on a Wednesday night on SportsGrid. So let's lock in here, shall we? We've got a college basketball card tonight that is a little tricky. I will tell you that. We've also got team best bets that we need to run through as well, but we won't do that just yet. We'll be able to do that before the hour, before the top of the hour. We'll go through all of those here on a Wednesday night. So what I will say is just kind of this is a trickier slate, right? There's a couple of leans. I will say I feel like I'm really right now in a spot of wanting to figure out, is there any team that I'm really interested in national championship-wise? We went through the Kevin 7 yesterday of the 7 teams that I was kind of considering. I thought they were interesting at number, and I ultimately did land on Iowa State to add on top of Florida. Now, the Cyclones losing to TCU, it's more frustrating from a timing perspective than anything else, right? I would say that loss, because of how it happened, it really hurt the Iowa State offensive rating. They went from 10th to 17th in the one game. But I have to admit, I cannot say I was floored. TCU has been capable of this throughout the season. They nearly beat Michigan. They did beat Florida, right? They've got real wins or, almost upsets on this resume. So where I will feel beat up about that Cyclones future is if they drop the game to Kansas. And that won't even necessarily mean I don't think they can still get on a run. It's that the number then likely starts to work against me. I think that number then starts to fall a little bit out of the range where I might have made a bad bet a week in, and that would be a little bit frustrating for me, right? The team that I'm currently rolling with, though, is Florida, and it's a Gators team who, if you look right now at 17-6, there are some impressive wins and some of the impressiveness, right? Like the game at Vanderbilt was a really impressive game, but some of the impressiveness this year for Florida is also just in the style of victory, the domination of Bama, A&M, South Carolina in consecutive victories there. Where they do give a bit of trepidation is in the losses at Mizzou by 2, home against Auburn, the TCU game. You worry that this Florida team is capable of beating anyone, but it is also a team that is perhaps upset vulnerable, which you think about the parallels to last year, and I think we ended up realizing was true of last year's team, right? They very easily could have lost that game to UConn. That ended up being just a 2-point victory. The game against Texas Tech, they were very, very fortunate to escape with. At one point, Texas Tech led by double digits in that game. And this year's Florida, at least of the moment, does not feel anywhere near as capable or as good as last year's Florida. We know the comeback that was required from the Gators in the national championship game, though if you get there at number, you'll be happy about it. I'm just very curious to see if this Florida team, it is not that they need to go unbeaten the rest of the way. There are 2 Kentucky games left. Arkansas is good. But if you look at it, what you can't have from this Florida team are losses that question, are they actually one of the elites? Because right now at the top of college basketball, Michigan has 1 loss. Arizona has 1 loss. Duke and Houston, just 2. Those are the 1, 2, 3, and 4 on KenPom. Florida's 5th with 6 losses. Now, some of that is strength of schedule, having played Arizona, Duke, UConn. Early season, this Florida team was clearly not as good as they are now, but they've tripled the amount of losses, right? They actually have, this is, pretty simple, they themselves have the same amount of losses as those top 4 teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Florida handles it the rest of the way. They're at Georgia tonight, would lean under in the game. Don't love it. UConn, Butler, similarly would lean under. I'm not all too desperate to run to the window in that game, would lean with Northwestern in their matchup against Michigan. I think some of the more intriguing matchups that we have tonight actually are in the high major conferences, but the unranked action. Maryland and Iowa are in a battle actually right now, where the Terps are seeing if they can put this Hawkeyes team, who's flirting with becoming, probably a newly ranked team and at some point in the near future, if they can put them on more than upset alert here. Ohio State USC is just getting underway. Elijah Arenas, Gilbert's son, is really starting to break out now. He had an accident over the summer. It was a late start, kind of got off to a slow start, but he has now scored 29 and 24 over his last 2 games. Not wildly efficient in either of those games, but again, he's kind of getting back to it. So it's going to be interesting to see. He actually checked into tonight's game with a 19.5 points prop. No gimmies there on that number. The SEC has some good unranked matchups to keep your eyes on. A&M looks for a bounce back after their loss to the Gators as they are at home against Missouri. Tennessee looking for a bounce back after their loss to Kentucky with a game at Mississippi State. But I like Ole Miss here at home against Alabama. I think they can pull off this upset undoubtedly. At a 6.5 point number, though, I'm happy to take the points with the running Rebs. This Crimson Tide team does not offer up a world of consistency right now. They did just find out that Bediako is done, I would assume, for the remainder of his life as far as a college player goes. I feel almost like Bama felt that was coming and they started to wean off the Bediako minutes. He was in that starting lineup for a little bit. He no longer is, or he started to not be involved in that starting lineup towards the couple of games that he played. It's so crazy. You click on his ESPN page, it goes to a photo of him in a Spurs jersey. It's just a wild thing that happened. It's so crazy. I don't think this Bama team offers up that same world of consistency. Ole Miss has hung with the more high-octane offenses in this conference so far this year. They lost at home to Arkansas by 7. They beat Georgia on the road, actually, in overtime. Vanderbilt at their place only lost by 3 at home tonight against Bama. By the way, for whatever reason, I don't know what the scheduling quirks are. Ole Miss has been on the road for 4 straight games and 6 of their last 7. I mean, they've only played 10 conference games. They've only been home in conference 3 times. It's pretty nuts. So I think that means there's value on Ole Miss, who's going to be playing a lot of home basketball the rest of the way. So that could be a good team to keep your eye on. Let's actually put the rest of the crew's best bets on the board. I'm going to lock in Ole Miss for a best bet here. Chris is going to go with a Clemson first half team total over 34.5. Pretty low number when you consider this is a top 20 basketball team at home. It's just the pace that they play at does not mean they can't get there. That's a 34.5 spot. Yarnelli on, oh man, the Champagne 1-2 step. Justin Champagny over the 10.5 points tonight as Washington is in Cleveland going up against James Harden and the boys, as Harden will make his Cleveland debut. And then AJ, who I believe is red hot on the college basketball best bets, he's going to go with Kansas State on the money line at plus 120. So that is where the best bets start to lock in. We've got some more NBA picks to break down and the rest of this slate after a quick break on Game Time Decisions.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields, because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch 5 if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid. We're now joined by Mark Zinno, who does great work here on SportsGrid and a few other places. And it's really, I think, the time of year where someone like Mark shines, because, Mark, I feel like a lot of people, the NFL comes and goes, and it's like, what do we do? And someone like Mark Zinno is like, yeah, whatever you want, college, NBA, I'll bet it all. I'll get in the mix and help the people out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't, I think this is a great time of year, especially leading into March Madness. Once the NFL regular season ends and you're not sitting there looking at, 15, 16 games a week, you got a lot more time to dive into college and the games that are going on every day of the week throughout college. So I've been focused pretty heavily on college basketball. And the NBA is starting to sort of normalize now that the trade deadline has come and gone, and now we're in a position where teams are static and what they are at this point in time, and who's still alive and fighting for something and who isn't.
Yeah, so let's stick in the college game then Mark, because you said you like this card. I was struggling with it a little bit. What is one of your more confident plays, if you will, then at the top of this card?
Clemson's in a prime look-ahead spot as they have Duke on deck. So they're laying, 8.5 points to a Virginia Tech team that is on the bubble right now, that needs every single win that they can get, that could use a quad one win against a team like Clemson. Also I think there's a world in this game where the under comes in. Clemson plays super slow. They want to grind the pace to a halt, and it's not exactly like Virginia Tech is this offensive juggernaut here. So I think the pace is really slow. And when you're getting a total of 138 and Clemson's laying 8.5 for it to stay under, and Clemson still cover that number, you're looking at a really tight window. Or you're saying Virginia isn't even getting to 60. Virginia Tech rather isn't even getting to 60, and I don't think that's a high probability.
All right, so that's one game in the ACC that we can look to add. I know you love the SEC. Is there any action in that conference for you on this card tonight?
I mean, look, I wanted to try to find a way to bet Texas Tech. Their team total is the best you could do. It's at 85.5. Not a number I'm really comfortable with. I do think Tennessee probably blows out Mississippi State here tonight. I know Mississippi State is decent at defending the three. Tennessee's very good at making the three, but this is also a Mississippi State team here that isn't very good. And, they're kind of just playing out the string and for the rest of the regular season into the SEC tournament here. But this is a game that Tennessee theoretically should win handily. You're talking about the number one three-point shooting team in conference playing the SEC this year in the Volunteers. And this is also a Mississippi State offense that's really, really poor. And that's the other part of this here why I think Tennessee can cover. Because even if it's a slower, lower scoring game, Tennessee will still have the edge.
Yeah, it's a Vols team who I don't. In this spot, I think it makes a lot of sense. Over in the big picture, Mark, I don't think much of them. Some of the metrics still are pretty kind to this team. I can't really figure out why. As someone who likes Kentucky sweeping Tennessee, it says more about the Vols than the Wildcats. Like, I know that they're turning things around there a little bit, but this isn't, when we talk big picture, right? This is the time of year people are looking to add futures. Like, Tennessee is not a team that I have much of any interest in.
No, I mean, look, I mentioned earlier this year in a column I wrote that, I thought Arkansas was a great play to win the SEC. The time that they were, you're looking at a team. I think they're 12 or 15-1 where they are right now, and they're only 2 games behind Florida, who plays a tough game with Georgia tonight, where another game where I think the over comes in. The last time Florida and Georgia met, Kevin, it was a 1-point game at halftime down in Gainesville. Florida's laying 9.5 at home. And then the floodgates opened in the second half, and Florida steamrolled Georgia and won the thing by like 17 or 18. It was unreal to watch. I remember because I was on Georgia plus the 9.5. I don't know if I want to go back to bet against Florida again because they are everybody as good as they were last year. It feels that way. I don't know if we're talking about them enough as a possibility of a repeat type team, but they have Sweet 16 or Elite 8 written all over them. That said, Georgia scores a lot more at home than they do anywhere else. They're one of the highest scoring teams, one of the fastest paced teams in the country. They're going to get up and down. Florida's not going to try to slow them down because Florida knows they can score and keep up with them. And hopefully they can get some stops here defensively with a much better defensive team that the Gators are. And I think we get over this 160, 165 and a half, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't disagree, just really with the outlook on Florida at all, Mark. Are there any teams that you've locked in futures for March Madness? I know sometimes people prefer to wait for the bracket, give them a better idea, so you don't have kind of teams colliding into one another. Is there anyone that you like so far?
You're going to love this. And I did this probably in the middle of January. St. Louis Billikens to make the Final Four.
There we go.
At 35-1. I don't know if this Billikens team has a hole. I mean, we're not talking. I mean, yes, they're ranked right now. And so maybe if people are seeing a little bit something with them, but this is a St. Louis team that is the best shooting team in the country. They probably are. And I don't think that's a stretch to say by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, they are number one in effective field goal percentage in the country. They're also number one in effective field goal percentage defense in the country. They're the second highest 3-point shooting team in the country. They make their free throws. They're not going to get outside. They're not a terribly small team. They play with incredible pace on offense. They don't have a flaw. And I really think if they get a good draw, and here's the real key for a team like the Billikens, to get to the 6 line or higher, right? We want them to stay out of the 7-10 or the 8-9 because that means they're going to have to go to a 1-2 type spot in the second round game. If they get to 6 and they can take on a 3 seed in the second round, they have a great shot to get to the Sweet 16 and move on to the Final Four. I think it's a really live team here that we're not talking about enough, but the Billikens are certainly somebody I placed a future on already.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's one of those teams. It's hard to know what the committee's going to do, right, whenever you kind of get outside of those major conferences. One thing, just though, to put this into perspective for people, because sometimes, Mark, they like to, anyone who's not in a major conference, they lump them together, right? So you've got unbeaten Miami of Ohio, and you've got, St. Louis getting that top 25 love. But the metrics have told us that Miami of Ohio is more of a product of a schedule and some luck. St. Louis is a top 25 team.
Right. It's interesting you bring up Miami of Ohio because, matter of fact, I have a column coming out tomorrow on Miami of Ohio on the bubble. The reality is that if they lose a regular season game, the only path they have is a MAC title, right? Wow. It's not going to be enough. Now, if they get to the MAC title game and lose that, they'd be 34-1. And they have a strength of schedule that's 355th in the country. It's going to be a really interesting test case for the committee, what they're going to do with Miami of Ohio, because no team that has only had one loss has ever been left out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I would like to. 34-1, I almost don't care who you play, but the numbers aren't great. We're going to keep Mark around, do some NBA next right here. It's Game Time Decisions.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch 5 if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back to the right here on SportsGrid. We're joined by Mark Zinno, and it's always great to catch up with Mark. Make sure you stay up to date with everything he's doing over on Twitter, at Mark Zinno as well. I mentioned a couple of the articles that he has coming around the college game. But, Mark, I know the NBA, it can still get a look or two from you. Is there anything that you've got locked in on the NBA slate tonight?
Currently sitting here at home where you're off camera polishing my closing line trophy value with the closing line value trophy with the Atlanta Hawks, who I got at -5. against Charlotte. Charlotte was in a prime sandwich spot, coming off the big game against Detroit, and then they got the Houston Rockets, a team that they already beat during their 9-game win streak, on deck. They get the lowly Hawks here, who are a little bit banged up, but also this number moved a bunch when the suspensions for Diabate and Bridges were announced after the brawl with the Pistons on, what was that, Monday night? And so you're getting a depleted Hornets team here against a Hawks team that kind of badly needs a win. It just got embarrassed the other night by Minnesota at home. So we'll take the Hawks here tonight. This is a Boston game where I think their team total at 119.5 is viable. The biggest concern you have there is with this becoming a blowout so much where Boston doesn't have to push the pace in the fourth quarter and they end up with 113, 114 because it's a 113, they're up by 14 or 15 points in the game. That's way too many points for the Cleveland Cavaliers to be laying against Washington. I think odds makers have inflated Cleveland after the James Harden trade. Washington plays fast enough that they should be able to keep up in this thing for the most part. Like, there's no way I'm laying 3 touchdowns with the Cleveland Cavaliers here. Washington or pass. I like Detroit in the money line against Toronto. Take the 1.5 if you really want it. Toronto's not a great home cover team. And so, I think Detroit is the right side there. Houston and the Clippers play again for the second time in 2 nights in Houston. Houston beat them last night. It went under. Total was at 213.5. It went down to 208 today, Kevin. So back up in the 211. That's like a playoff total kind of number. But we're back up at 211 in that game, probably staying off it. Just a little bit too much variance for me. Minnesota and Portland is interesting because this number today, has sort of gone back and forth. This opened up at 7. I saw it go down to like 5.5 today. Now we're back up in the 6.5, 7 range for the Timberwolves. This is one of these games where I think the over comes in because I think Portland scores. If Portland isn't scoring, they've got no shot to win or cover this game. But if Portland gets themselves to 115, guess what? Minnesota's clearly going to get to 120, 125 in this game. So give me the over in that spot. And then why is Oklahoma City laying 7.5 without SGA to Phoenix? I know Phoenix was on a back-to-back last night, but that's a big number for them to be laying. Something is fishy about that line right there. Probably a stay away. Everything in my brain tells me take Phoenix tonight with the points at home. They're the best ATS team in the NBA this year. Yeah. And them getting that kind of number at home without SGA in the lineup again. Very, very curious to me.
Yeah, the way that they price some of the back-to-back stuff, Mark, is still a little bit puzzling, right? I mean, there's instances where you're like, is playing on a back-to-back worth, or I guess minus 4 points to a team's point spread?
It's not. That line gets really thrown out of whack. Yeah. And they want you to pay a premium on the back-to-back because particularly when you're looking at a situation like you are with Houston and LA, when it's the same 2 teams playing either in consecutive nights or playing back-to-back games over the course of 2 nights or 3 nights rather. So, Houston in the last game wasn't an 8.5. I think there were only 5. Let me double check what the number was, but I know it wasn't 8.5. It was actually 9.5. And so, they're coming down here a little bit thinking that the Clippers are going to come back in this thing and take in the back half. I don't know. It's just a lot of variance when you get these situations. Usually I would do the opposite of what happened the night before, but so it's a little tricky for me to handicap that one.
Yeah, someone like to Mark's point, yesterday I took that Rockets Clippers total to the over. Didn't get there. Look, it is what it is. Typically, though, I would be like, same exact game, same players, they knocked it down. Let's circle back. And I just want nothing to do with it. I just think when we get out of the All-Star break, maybe a week out of it, I think we'll be in a really nice groove of like NBA clarity. I mean, we have this we haven't even talked about it. The Jazz actively now just do not play their best guys in the fourth quarter. They're a 5.5 point favorite tonight, Mark. Like,
yeah, that's nuts. Like in a tank off, really. I mean, that's what it is between Utah and Sacramento. Is anybody going to play tonight? Who knows? But I would tell you, if the scrubs are playing, I kind of take the over because they keep trying to score.
Yeah, that it's well said. It's kind of the Chicago Bulls theory of it all because even when they're healthy, it's kind of a bunch of nobody guards anybody, let it happen. Mark Zinno, excellent as always. We'll take a quick break and be right back here. Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We are live on SportsGrid on a Wednesday night. Some college hoops about to be tipping off, including Alabama and Ole Miss on Ole Miss plus the 6.5 in that spot. Iowa, by the way, on upset alert as they are home right now and losing to the Terps in the Big Ten. So we'll keep tabs on that as well. We're going to pivot over to some NBA action with our guy Danny Burke, who joined us throughout Super Bowl 60 week in San Francisco. Danny, before I get to the NBA tonight, any Super Bowl hangover for yourself, or you feel back in the rhythm here on the East Coast?
Kevin, well, appreciate you having me back on the program. Yeah, it took about a day or two, but now that I'm back going from West Coast to Central Time Zone, we're slowly acclimated. I did have the flight. It was Monday night. Didn't get in till like 1 a.m. and then I was on my phone just scrolling and I realized it was like 3:30. I'm like, I should probably get to bed. And I didn't end up getting out till like after 11 a.m., which at this point in my life, I like can't remember the last time I've slept past 10 a.m. Central Time. So we had about 1 day of the hangover. Now we're slowly getting back into the mix. And it hasn't fully set in that the football season's over and that we're transitioning elsewhere. But no, it was a blast. And at least we got the draft and some of the off-season drama to look forward to keep us from going too crazy.
Give people the update, Danny, that they really want. How? Because I saw the video that you and SPJ put out of Kaufman kind of right after the game. But like as he got further and further removed from it, how was he holding up following the loss?
It's kind of hilarious, and I'm a bit salty in a sense because this dude is so freaking spoiled that he didn't really let it in. Like immediately after, he was devastated, he was depressed, distraught, upset, all the adjectives that looked like they were displayed on that post-game interview I was doing with him. He was certainly feeling that. But then, like, after an hour or two, he kind of got back to normal, which was really making me frustrated as a Chicago Bears fan. So I'm like, that's how you know this guy has plenty of Super Bowls where he can just get over that quickly. I'm like, I'm still just going nuts from the Bears losing that overtime game against the Rams. Like, it's insane how quick the turnaround was. Now, that's not to, diss anything with his fandom. Again, he's been there. So, like, he understands it. The whole week leading up into it, though, he was definitely giving aggressive questions with the Patriots, which granted they were in the Super Bowl, but the biased takes were certainly out there leading up into the game.
Just listen, if at any point you feel like he's being too much, just let him know that his quarterback had the opportunity to become clearly the best quarterback from the sophomore class, and he might be like fourth now from that group after that postseason. All right, Danny, so let's get into the NBA tonight. A couple of games are going to tip off in that 7 o'clock window, Charlotte, Atlanta, Cleveland, Washington. Are you betting anything in that slate right now?
One of the games that I did have, it was funny because I saw it on your screen. I'm going to be fading Sam, who was on your best bets board here. He had Julian Champagny over 10.5 points. One of the plays that I took was the opposite of that. I actually went under 10.5. So sorry, Sam. We were going head to head here against the Warriors here with Champagny. He scored 8 or less in his last 3 out of 4 games, but it's not even really because of that, although that does play a large part. But the minute production isn't necessarily there. He's logging less than 20 minutes in each of his past 2 games, and they're also on the second leg of a back-to-back. So that's one that stands out. I know that game's a little bit later, but that's the first one that popped out because I saw it there on the screen. Golden State a little bit banged up in their own right, but they're still a respectable defensive group, albeit their roster looks a tad different. 9th in points per 100 possessions allowed, and then solid defending beyond the perimeter too, where Champagny's taken a majority of his looks. So, I'm going to be fading him tonight, going under 10.5 points.
Well, Danny, I'm going to be honest with you. I just realized I'm fading him as well, and I didn't even realize it. So here's just a quick story. Before the show, put together a little parlay of what everybody likes tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed he meant Julian Champagny. I know Justin exists. For sure, put Julian for 8 plus in the parlay. So I don't know. Behind the scenes, they're all now trying to figure out who they put in the parlay. No idea. Hopefully,
everyone's all over the place here. We're all congested with the Champagnes here.
If we could get them to each at least 8, that would be fantastic. All right, Danny, continue to go through this card for me. What else are you locking in here on a Wednesday night?
Yeah, for sure. As you know, I'm a Chicago guy. Jaden Ivey coming to the Bulls. How about it? Yeah, the Bulls are a disaster. We already know this, and the trade deadline was just who the hell knows what they're doing. But a play that I am looking at in terms of the over is Ivey over 3.5 rebounds minus $102. Before joining the Bulls, he was getting less than 18 minutes a game and less than 3 rebounds. And I know it's an incredibly short sample size, but in the 2 games that he's played with the Bulls, he got 30 minutes and 24 minutes respectively, 6 rebounds in each of those 2 games. And I presume that minute production is going to continue to last because the Bulls are banged up and they just have no talent. I mean, they're going to utilize a guy like Ivey. So it's just going to be a simple increase in minutes, increase in rebounding opportunities. So buy low while we can on Ivey over 3.5 rebounds. Going with another over, it's a bit chalky, and I understand why some people may avoid it. And typically I do for these situations. But it's James Harden over 21.5 points minus $119. You mentioned some of the earlier games. This is one of the plays that I have in that. And it's just because I still think you want to make a mark here if you're James Harden on the new team. I get it. They're 17-point favorites, so it could be a blowout, and he may not get close to getting over that mark. But I think it'll be at least close enough, long enough to where he can still make his impact against a team that is terrible defensively. Anybody could have a good night, but we've already seen Harden do it a couple of times. 22 points one time with them against the Clippers, 36 another time. Washington 29th in points per 100 possessions allowed. I just think he still has a decent amount to prove here with Cleveland and didn't have his minutes restricted in the first game. So I like that. Maxey under 7.5 assists. That's just a number that's a skosh too high here, averaging 6 assists per game through 5 or assists per contest through 5 games this month. He stayed under that mark in 4 out of 5 games. And the 2 out of 3 games against the Knicks, he's averaging about 6 assists. He stayed under in 2 out of 3. I get that assists differ from game to game, but clearly the matchup in the past, what I think is going to happen here is it's going to be a more score-first approach, which it often is, but even more so against an underwhelming Knicks defense. And Embiid's out of the game. He won't have a big threat to facilitate it to. So that's another player prop that I like tonight was Maxey under 7.5 dimes.
Danny, can I ask you what you think about this Sixers team as it relates to the big picture? Because they were a team value-wise I kind of made the case for in the Eastern Conference, but now we're at a different point in the calendar, right? It's a little bit less maybe about value and a little bit more about belief. How do you feel about them against the rest of this conference?
I mean, it's kind of like the same story every year. They get you a little bit excited. Deep down, you don't want to fall in love with them, but then they have this stretch where it's like, maybe they could do it. Maybe they could do it. I'm not ready to buy into them in really any sense because we're not getting a full version of Joel Embiid. And obviously, Paul George in his inability to stay healthy or just come through in the clutch throughout the postseason. And while Tyrese Maxey is one of the top players in this league, evidently he can't do enough to carry this team throughout the postseason and even at a lot of regular season spurts. Miles on that guy's legs. He's short. I'm sorry, rather he's got a short career so far, but it's just going to take a toll on him at some point, and it's not a team that's worth taking a futures bet on, especially with the rest, Kevin, of the Eastern Conference getting better. I mean, you see a team like Detroit not really come out of nowhere. They slowly built to it, but in the sense of where they started in a 2-year span and where they're at now, where it's like Philadelphia is just staying on the same plateau. And that's not a team that's worth putting your hard-earned money on from a long-term perspective.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting to me with this team is we know the talent that's there, and it's like, hey, if the East is going to be open, like maybe there's some value on the talent, but it's you get a game like tonight where it's like, hey, Sixers Knicks, this should be fun. Wait, what? JoJo's out? And then it's kind of that never-ending cycle. So I think it's a totally fair point by you, Danny. Anything we want to sneak in here before we get out of here?
Yeah, as ugly as this game may be, the Nets and Pacers may be disgustingly entertaining. And I know I'm getting the worst of the number, but hard not to look toward the Nets with the Indiana Pacers putting out a high school team on the floor tonight.
All right, fantastic. Danny Burke, excellent as always. We'll be right back on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions, take me home, country road. This is unbelievable, man. You want to talk about up against it. The only people more up against it than us are the Georgia Bulldogs. Took them 6 minutes to score against Florida. Chomp, chomp. This defense is unreal. They're going to go down to pick to win the national title at this rate. What a team. What a group. We're going to keep our eyes on this game. We need to do a bit of house cleaning here, okay? because I decided tonight was a night of friendship and togetherness. So we all said, hey, let's just put our heads together and put a little parlay in, right? And, our guy, Frank in the back, you guys don't really know Frank. He said Spurs, Mooney line. Might rat it, who knows? But that's okay. And then Chris did what he always does, dips into the SEC bag, so he gives us Trey Johnson, Texas legend, for 12. Fantastic. Pat says he likes Jalen Johnson rebounds. AJ says he likes Jalen Johnson points and rebounds. Great. Tom gave out a Scotty Barnes prop. So, boom, Scotty Barnes. I put James Harden for multiple threes in there. So far, everything is fine. But for some reason, with Spurs money line on my brain, I watched the Spurs last night. And because I'm thinking, hey, if Sam's going to give us a pick, it's probably going to be on a starting player, which probably is right where I went wrong. Sure isn't. So we're thinking, hey, it's probably going to be Julian Champagnie for 8+. Then we bring Danny in, friend of the program. We pull up his graphic. He's like, you won't believe it. I'm on Justin Champagne. No, I'm not. I'm on Julian Champagne. The graphic's wrong. Why is the graphic wrong? I don't really know. Right? No, that's Sam's best bet. But then did Danny even have a graphic? I have no idea. Or Danny just wanted to fade Sam. I don't even think he knew what he was giving out in that moment. So I still don't really know what was going on there. I think he's under the Spurs guy, which is crazy. Because he just saw us Champagne and said, fade that. Probably a good pick, honestly. Right? And then Yarnell is like, guys, of course I'm on Justin Champagne. He starts for the Wizards. First of all, low bar. Right? Low bar. Second, and more importantly, doesn't start for the Wizards. Want to tell me who Jameer Watkins is? I mean, averaging 4.5 points a game gets the nod tonight. Can't figure that out for the life of me. Trey Johnson the Wizards have 3 points 2 minutes into the game. Which, you know what, to be fair, that's more than James Harden has. So we're up against it there as well. I mean, it's Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson hasn't done anything. What's happening? All right. I mean, really? Spurs are down 10. Game hasn't tipped yet. And while all this chaos is going on, Knucklehead 1 and Knucklehead 2 are back there high-fiving each other because Austin P is on their way to their first half team total. Thank you, Governor. This is unbelievable. Maybe we need to jump in live and fade Austin P. Or one chance to put a smile on my face. What is the live Clemson first half team total? Because Chris's best bet was 34.5. It's 35.5. He's trending. You got to be kidding me. He's trending. This guy's trending. Unbelievable. How about that? I assume Ole Miss is losing by 600 to Alabama. Anyone have that update for me? I mean, up by 1. 12-11. Bad update. Bad update. That's why they stopped letting them do them. I'm Chris Kofsky with your Sports Grid update. All right, so Ole Miss is winning. That's good. When's AJ's best bet start? Tomorrow with this K-State team? Cut it out. Who are they even playing? Cincinnati. 2.5-point home dog. By the way, I assume we wouldn't have the rights to it. However much you enjoy this show, It would be exponentially better if I was allowed to play one of AJ's more recent TikToks on it. I have watched it, not an exaggeration, 20 times. He had a sweep the other night. I don't know, last night, 2 nights ago, probably both of them. He impersonated an American Eagle and then just hit a little 1-2 shimmy. It's the best thing I've ever seen. I really mean it. Freezer burn bets is making us all better. I'd like to believe that. Then again, maybe he should have helped us figure out which champagne we were supposed to be betting tonight because we needed that help. LaMelo with a 3, attaboy. We need LaMelo tonight. 12-11 Atlanta. All right. This NBA board has a couple of options that could be expanding. Sixers Knicks is a tricky one as I try and pivot into a real breakdown. Wizards are down 10 already. Do you think Justin Champagnie is not good enough to start, but also not young enough to play the blowout minutes for a Wizards game? Do you think we have the perfect player who just gets no tick for Washington? What do I care? It's not even in the parlay. What am I talking about? Who cares? Who cares, man? Honestly. I also have a Spurs bet I like tonight that I didn't talk about yet. So we'll do that next. Have never needed Cam Stewart more than right now.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch 5 if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh my gosh. Back right here on SportsGrid. If you like Justin Champagnie at 10.5, you'll love him at 10.5. Why is this number not moving? Cleveland, it's 26.5 live. A little bit of pride, fellas. Should we grab Washington now while we still can? I mean, really. Are you telling me the Cavs team total live is 136.5? Where do you even come up with this stuff? Really, look at this team. Justin Champagne's number's up to 11.5. Explain that. He's got a better in-game. Will Riley at 14.5 with an impressive no points in this game. You want to find out? Who wants to know when I learned that Will Riley was on the Wizards? Just now. And when I worked the NBA draft show, I don't understand that at all. When did Will Riley get to Washington? Will Riley's averaging 18 a game in February? All right, man. You know what? I might not be dialed. I'm still on the Dylan Harper prop tonight, shall we? Try. Bring a little bit of balance here. I hope, the way things are trending, Stephon Castle will not only play in this game, but will play 35 minutes. Steph Castle had an incredible transition block against Rui Hachimura. Took a hard fall. Didn't play in the second half against the Lakers. And it sets Dylan Harper up to play at least 25 minutes in this game. With the way the Spurs are playing right now, they feel like very comfortably one of the 5 best teams in basketball, and maybe higher than that. Harper could get minutes whether it's a blowout or competitive. If you look at the last time Steph Castle missed a game, Dylan Harper played 28 minutes. That was against Orlando. You could easily look at last night's game against the Lakers, in which he played 27 minutes. What those games have in common is he scored 15 in each of them. If you look on the season for Dylan Harper, when he plays 25 or more minutes, 13 instances, I rounded up in 2 of the spots. 10 of those games, he's gone over an 11.5 number, which you can find, I saw on Fanatics at a -105, other books -110. I think Dylan Harper scores 15 plus tonight. The thing about Harper, the second overall pick for a lot of was almost in a tier of his own. And the way Cooper was, Harper wasn't in that tier, but he maybe was above everyone else. Even if that's not turned out to be true, it gives you an idea of the expectations for this young kid. And with the way San Antonio is built and having, good health so far at the guard position, the winning is more important than like finding 35 minutes a night for Dylan Harper, but you can feel him getting better. Like Dylan Harper to me is a guy, as someone who I think maybe thought he was the 4th best player in the draft. And that's, I had guys in front of him that others won't agree on. That's fine. So, it's a long time before we figure out who knew exactly what. The point is, I still feel really good about Dylan Harper making multiple All-Star games down the line. Like, that feels like something that you will still see. And it's why San Antonio is so exciting. And it's why they're so good. And it's why I'm on Dylan Harper tonight over the number. Live, I'm on LaMelo Ball. If you look right now, this Hornets-Hawks game is a track meet. And it's just, one of the most fascinating pieces of the Charlotte setup is that they now every night, especially with the Bridges and the Diabate injury, have 3 different guys that can give you 20 all in the same game. I mean, if you look at the season averages, LaMelo's at 19.2, Knippel's at 18.9, and Miller right now is at 20.4. So it just gives this team a very high offensive floor. And with Knippel's efficiency and Miller getting better, you're just watching this team flourish on that side of the basketball. We're going to see how it continues to trend. The Cavs-Wizards game is one that legitimately, like, no jokes, I feel like I am going to want to bet in-game in some capacity just because the numbers are so out of whack, right? Like, to see a team like 26.5 in-game when they were already laying 18.5, it just feels like a lot. But, we'll try and be patient there. The Gators are doing it again to Georgia. Maryland's still holding on against Iowa. But that game's starting to slow up. So there's a couple of interesting spots that we can look at live. But let's talk to a Super Bowl champion, Cam Stewart, next on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid, and this is a special one because it's the first opportunity to talk to Cam Stewart after the Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champions. We will talk a little Pebble Beach, certainly, but Cam, Seattle, you believed in this team throughout the season, and I mean, by the end of it, everybody believed in this group. What an impressive result. What was your biggest takeaway from Super Bowl 60?
My biggest takeaway was just Seattle's defense and what they did was simple, like just blowing up New England's offensive line. And at the start of the game, Kevin, you know, when you're putting up field goals instead of touchdowns, you're still concerned. I'm like, it's 12-0. Like we should be killing these guys. Like it should be this game should be over already. Like New England's 3-0. And then when Barner hit that first touchdown, by the way, first touchdown 14-1, then I went nuts and then I went crazy. And then anyway, but after that, it's just, what can you say? New England surprisingly didn't make adjustments. People want to put this all on May. Their offensive line wasn't ready, and he didn't look very good. He missed some throws. Seattle's defense was just impeccable in this game. And you know what? Sam Darnold, you can say what you want. The box score is not going to wow you. But he didn't turn over the ball. They moved the ball. He did everything he needed to do. Trent Dilfer's a Super Bowl winner. And the thing is, that win against the Rams, where he was on fire, got Seattle to this point. Him and Kubiak at the end of the game, hugging it out, crying. Kubiak believed in him. Darnold, that's official tears for him leaving and going to the Las Vegas Raiders. They had a great relationship. They trusted in each other. And, hey, media, like, at the start of the year, I said Darnold would, I'm not sure about this move. I'm like, it actually was, I was negative on it. I'm not going to lie. But as the season progressed, I actually backed him up because I was seeing what they were doing and the way he played well. He had 2 bad games, both against the Rams. Other than that, he's had a great year. And Minnesota, he had a great year with Minnesota, and he had a bad couple games at the end of the year. So what do you want from this guy? You know what I mean, Kev? Like, I think he's proved himself.
Well, yeah, I think he's entered a completely different class. Like, I mean, listen, you know, Cam, not that I would run from it. I wasn't a believer in Sam Darnold. He turned the ball over a ton with Minnesota. He turned the ball over a ton this year, but he didn't turn it over in the NFC Championship game. And you have to sometimes, like, things are just a level of belief, right? And is Sam Darnold more talented than Dak Prescott? Probably not. Is Jalen Hurts more talented than Dak Prescott? Maybe not. But if the chips are down, it's fair to say you'd rather Jalen, and it's fair to say you'd rather Darnold. It's the same thing with Jared Goff. So like I will say this, Cam. It's interesting. A lot of people right now are wanting to put our two quarterbacks against one another, right? Of just like, oh, look, like Darnold's better than Hurts. This, that. I think we are entering into a new phase though too, Cam, with kind of NFL analysis where everybody wants to make everything about the quarterback. It's about the team. It's about the coaches. It's about the offensive line, the defensive line, and Seattle, maybe even more than Philadelphia, I think put that on display this season.
You couldn't have said it any better. This is a team, Gabe and I talked about it. They like each other. They hang out with each other. You know, they respect each other. And even at the start of the year, there were really a lot of positives going around and saying, this team's different. Remember, Pete Carroll had his guys. They're gone. This is Mike McDonald's team now. He brought in his guys. They did their drafting. And John Schneider, general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, what he's done with the Legion of Boom and the Dark Side and getting some draft picks late in drafts, you know, the Cam Chancellors, the Richard Shermans of the world, the Doug Baldwins, new guys, and finding offensive linemen, Emenwara, doing all sorts of things. Your boy from Notre Dame, Kevin, was hurt all year. The guy comes in as a sack in the Super Bowl and starts rolling on guys. He was hurt the whole damn time. Seattle has hit it, knocked it out of the park with the draft. That's to do with Schneider, McDonald, his staff. They did a great job. And I got to tell you, I'm absolutely thrilled. Just to have 2 Super Bowls as a franchise is amazing. And I'll tell you, that Patriots Super Bowl from 2015, they left a sour taste in my mouth. It was great to get revenge.
I want to ask you, Cam, about the numbers next year. And, like, I am not saying that I think Seattle should be 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. I am a little surprised that they are the favorite. Just because I don't think anyone's going to bet. You say you too. I feel like no one is actually going to be betting this team at plus 750. I think that number's going to have to come back $3 at least.
I agree. And as a Seahawk fan, big difference between 65 or 80-1 and now we're doing this, right? And I understand. Now they can buy luxury items. You can get another receiver for JSN. They're talking about Notre Dame's receiver. You know what I mean? Cooper Kupp's a little bit older, so you need that other guy, so he's not going to get double and triple team. But I will say this. When I looked at the NFC board, and Gabe and I talked about it on our podcast, the first team that came up to me was Chicago at 14-1 for the NFC.
Okay.
This is a team to me that's getting really close. They got a lot of young players. Right on the offensive line looks good. We saw what Caleb Williams did. If their coach just didn't go for it on every damn 4th down, you know what I mean, and actually took points once in a while and figured out, you know, how a game's going. But when you're looking at teams and you break down value, I use that word too much. I think the Bears are, like, literally, we're very, very close to going far. And they're 14-1 for the NFC. Seattle's under 9-1 for the Super Bowl. So you tell me. I know the Seahawks are my team, but things change in the NFL real quick. So if I was looking at teams, you know, Jacksonville scares me in the AFC, and Chicago, I think, is very dangerous at that price.
Can I make any case to you for Darnold's old team in Minnesota? Because
you could.
We like, I feel, Cam, we like the head coach. We love the defensive coordinator. The roster's good, Justin Jefferson. I think them firing Mensa means they could roll the dice on one of these, ironically, Darnold quarterbacks. Like, look, Kyler Murray's a weird guy, but could Kyler Murray in Minnesota work? I think maybe enough that you feel good about, like, the 60-1s that are out there, Cam. I think I'm interested in long shots, right? It doesn't mean every year it's going to be a long shot, but there could be some value down this board.
It can. And we were talking about the board. You know, Mendoza's probably going to go first to the Raiders, right? You're going to offer, you're going to entertain trade offers, but he's a guy that's a good kid. And the Raiders need a kid that's not, you know, going to cause any problems. They need a guy to come in there and just let's get things right here. Let's get a good kid in there. Nussmeier could be an interesting quarterback in the draft. Like, what's Minnesota's good? What are they going to do? I think they have a really good defense. We saw them beat the Lions this year. There's a lot to like with Minnesota because I think they're a few players away. So you're right, Kevin. I look at those numbers and go, that number's a little bit out of whack. The AFC, like, what about Houston again? I know Stroud played really bad in the playoffs, but that had a lot to do with the line as well. They got beat up. But with that defense, anything's possible.
Do you know what surprises me a little bit, Cam, in the AFC? It's at the top of the board, and I don't know if it maybe just says there's more worry internally about the Mahomes ACL, but I'm surprised that the Chargers, on at least FanDuel, have shorter odds to win the AFC than Kansas City. Like, Denver would be one thing. The Chargers?
Chargers got to prove it in the playoffs. But I'll tell you one thing, Kevin. Let's remember one thing. They were competitive, lost close to Houston, and were without two of their best offensive linemen. One of the best offensive linemen in the league. So you can ask what you want from your quarterback.
Yeah.
They're going to have some of these guys back, but I get it. That's like, they still shouldn't be that kind of number, because every time they get to the playoffs, they lose. It's just one of those situations. Can they get to the next level? I think the Chargers are a very dangerous team, though.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say the Chargers are bad. I just feel like
the Chiefs are being disrespected.
I just think in the same way you and I agree, they're probably not going to take a lot of Seattle bets. Putting Kansas City at the same number as Detroit or behind LA, way behind Green Bay, way behind Buffalo or Baltimore, who they beat every year, it feels like they are asking for Chiefs money. That would be my read on it, which I feel like usually the idea, Cam, is they never have to ask for Chiefs money, right? That money's always going to come in. So who knows? I mean, listen, people still don't know if Travis is coming back, right?
Exactly. There's a change in the guard. Mahomes is also getting a little bit older, right? You have Denver in the AFC. You have Jacksonville, an up-and-coming team. Buffalo's still going to be there. Chargers were injured. That's the whole thing. So, yeah, Kevin, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to put money on Kansas City. Would it surprise you if they went back to the Super Bowl? No. But they're just not going to be my choice. I'm just going to go elsewhere.
All right, let's find out whose Cam's choice will be at Pebble Beach. It is a tournament, like all tournaments, that starts with Scotty Scheffler, and then we move on from there. Next, right here on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields, because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Let's get into it here. The Pebble Beach Pro-Am, the first signature event of the year, right, Cam?
Yep, it is, Kevin. Only 80 players this week, but Scotty Scheffler's there. I said, and this is a tournament he hasn't won. If you can believe all the accolades he hasn't won at Pebble Beach. I told you about my buddy Parlay with the Seahawks money line. Hey, idiot, Scheffler's 127. I go, whoa, you're coming at me with your money? I go, here's the deal. Talk to me on Sunday, like owning Mahoney. Talk to me at 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll see where the money goes. And I'm sorry, Cam. Yeah, he finished third. I go, yeah, don't ever do that again. You wait till the end. This guy is amazing. He brings his D game and finishes third. But Kev, This is a tournament he hasn't won. So what do? I'm going to go to the board, and I'm going to tell you a story about a guy. First of all, shout out to New Jersey's Chris Goddard. What you did on Sunday was impeccable. You're 7 strokes back, you tie it up, and you win in a playoff against Hideki Matsuyama. You know what you are? A stone-cold closer. And there's very hard to find those guys in golf that love Sunday pressure. Goddard's the real deal. But I digress. Justin Rose had an interview after he won a couple weeks ago, and he hits it longer than he's ever had. He's been healthier than he's ever had, and he says, I want to be one of the best golfers in the world, winning wire to wire. You know how hard that is, Kev? He also plays really well at Pebble Beach. People are like, why is he 28 to 1? Why can't I get a 35 or 40? Because you can't. Because he's playing well, and the books aren't stupid. But you know what? I'm not going to be the regular golf guy. Hey, I want 45 before I'm taking him at 28 to 1. Goddard's won twice this year. Justin Rose can win twice. Then we're going to go with Victor Hovland. He played really, really well last week. He was at 1.60 to 1 and almost won the tournament. He is rounding into form. And when Victor Hovland's on with his irons, if he can just get a couple putts to fall, he'll be there. Matt Fitzpatrick, another one. Could have been right there. Could have won last week. A couple bad double bogeys. Like, he didn't minimize damage, but he was still there and almost won the golf tournament. This guy's on a heater right now, 40 to 1. We got a couple value plays for you. Sammy Stevens at 100. And who else do I got there? Dangerous Denny McCarthy. Yeah! Usually take Dangerous Denny in Florida, but 140, I'm making a trip to Denny's for the moons over my Hemi at 140 to 1, even though it's probably $5.99 with extra coffee, fries, and whatever you want on the side. Who do we got next? We got Shane Lowry. Kevin's family's Irish, so we got to talk to Kevin. He's kind of like the Irish Bear. The sports grid host, Irish Bear, Oso Grande, plus 130. Min, Woo, Lee, M, W, L instead of RVD. This guy's hot. Top 20s all day, plus 150. And Jason Day's an old man that can get it around at Pebble Beach. Top 30s. Can I have a hoagie sandwich? You damn right you can. At plus 120 for a top 30. The guy's been finished top 5 the last couple years there. And Novak, Andrew Novocaine. I love this guy. He's a very underrated golfer. And you want to give me plus money for a top 30? I'm in, Kevin. So I divvy it up. I get the top 20s, got the top 30s. First round leaders, Sahith Theegala and Jagger. They play at 2 different courses, Pebble and Spyglass. So this is at Pebble Beach. 30 for Theegala. Jagger's a notorious hot starter. And first round leaders at Spyglass, one of my friends, Jake Afternoon Nap and Aaron Ryan Ginger. Let's have fun, everybody. Have a nap, wake up, have a Ryan Ginger, and hopefully we win some golf bets. Enjoy your selections. Let's rock.
Yeah. There's not much more you can need than that, Cam. I do want to know, we know you can always bet the matchups. Are there any guys at the top that you enter this tournament wanting nothing to do with? You think that they're a real stay or even a direct fade?
Interesting point, Kev. A lot of people, okay, how do I say this at the top? I'm going to go, people have Burns. I kind of like him, but I'm not there this week. Patrick Cantlay plays really, really well here, but until he does something, I don't want any part of this guy. None. I don't want any part of it. Rory is dangerous, but I have to see it. He's been playing over in Europe till he gets here. But I will say one thing, Kevin. When you get Rory McIlroy 14 to 1, I'll tell you when Scotty Scheffler's in the field. Rory McIlroy without Scheffler in this field's a stone cold 5 or 6 to 1 in this tournament. So you're getting value with some of these top guys. And I talked about it today on a couple other golf shows. If you're going to do the betting without Scheffler, do the guys 30 and under, because they only give you a clip like from 30 to 22. The 200 to ones become 100. You know what I'm saying, Kevin? If you look at it from a mathematical perspective, you're not going to get the full value you deserve, right? So that's what I would say to anybody in those markets. If you like a guy at the top, that's how you do it without Scheffler. Scheffler could win. He's never won here before. He played like junk last week, and then all of a sudden finishes third. That's how damn good this guy is.
Like, just looking right now, at least FanDuel, and I know a lot of books vary, they have actually without Scotty and Rory, interestingly enough. So Siwoo goes from 20 to 14.
That's not bad.
It really isn't bad at all.
Another guy, Xander Schauffele. Right now, I don't want any piece of that guy.
He stinks right now.
He's fade material. Oh, no. Honestly, they're giving money away, and I don't win every bet, but literally every matchup bet against them this year, I haven't lost once. I've won every single time. 2 guys, 3 guys against him. It's like check, check, check. He hasn't found his game right now, and the books know he's eventually going to figure it out, but he hasn't yet.
But I'll tell you this. Listen, like I'll play the golf a little bit small. So not this week, but the tournament prior, where he might have maybe been the favorite. I'm not sure, but he missed the cut.
Right there. Yeah,
right?
I know.
And I just said to myself, hey, listen, maybe he can bounce back. We'll take him to win the tournament. Maybe he'll be in the mix. But I waited because Scotty was earlier in the day. I'm like, let Scotty go first because maybe this will be not worth it, or Scotty will be low. I'll get a better number. And Scotty was 2 over. And I went, oh, my God, this is amazing. I'm going to bet Xander, put a little boost on it, Cam. And he finished the same 2 over. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you cannot be serious. Like, this guy just gave you a runway as, like, the second favorite in the tournament, and you didn't take it at all. Ludwig's a little similar early. Like, we don't know if this guy's healthy or not.
Doesn't look right. He's another guy that I want no part of him. I know a lot of golf guys are jumping on him this week. I'm not. By the way, too, Kevin, top USA point maker this Olympic hockey tomorrow. Jack Eichel at over 5-1. And for Canada, I can't believe these prices I'm getting on FanDuel. I get Connor McDavid plus 325. Gabe was telling me most books he's like plus 170. So do shopping. Shopping's very important when you're going after this. Eichel top points USA, McDavid top points Canada. Let's rock.
Why in the world would that be the Connor McDavid?
Isn't that
number?
Crazy? I mean, they suckered me, man. If his name's Tucker, not Sucker, I'm gonna do it at that price. Call me a loser. If it doesn't win, I don't care. That price you have to bet it at.
Cam, you are the best. We'll get you best bets on the way out after the break on SportsGrid.
Take care.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We knew this was coming at some point, but did you think he was going for Kristaps Porzingis? It's almost like they thought they were going to get it on Giannis. They didn't get Giannis, so they went to Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is a stretch five if he's healthy. Rim protection, block shots, three-point shooting, helps Golden State.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Game Time Decisions going to close it out here on a Wednesday night. Let's get to the halftime card. College-wise, best bet for me is Ole Miss plus the 6.5. They trail by 2 against Bama. They did lead actually by as many as 9, so maybe a little frustrated to not take the lead. But to only score 30, it could be much worse going up against Bama, so you'll take it for what it is. Do feel bad for Chris. Best bet does not come in just by 2. That Clemson offense gave him nothing down the back stretch of that opening half there, which is a shame. They had 31 points with 3.5 minutes left in that first half. So you're looking for, again, mostly nothing. They're on upset alert, actually, now. They gave up 40 to Vatek, which is real outlier. Vatek's, though, 7 of 11 from 3, Slurpee style. So that gets them in a good spot. Gators up 43-27 on the Bulldogs. 33%. So from the, 33% from the field, 25% from 3. They haven't attempted a free throw, Georgia. To play this level of defense for the Gators without fouling is outrageous. Like, again, if you're into the KenPom numbers, Florida entered this game with the 7th best defense. You'd imagine that's going to tick up a spot or two with what you're seeing right now. Butler up early on UConn. It looks like maybe 20-16, in that game. Let me get you a couple of other key updates here on this live college board. Maryland might be live favorites. Yeah, they are against Iowa. 62-56. Hawkeyes are capable of, kind of vice gripping a team, but sometimes it's not your night. Iowa may be looking ahead a little bit, knowing that they have Purdue on the weekend. What's that number going to be? Iowa loses to Maryland. Purdue off the win, but overtime. Mine's already saying play the Hawkeyes. Not bad. USC and Ohio State, Trojans up 3. We mentioned Elijah Arenas pregame. He's got 15 right now. Still not very efficient, though. Hasn't made any of 4 3-point attempts in that basketball game. Austin P. Goodness me, man. 52-50 at half against Queens. Live total 187.5. Let's take a look at what the shooting percentages were. Out of control. Tons of free throws. So you need 86 to get there in the second half. I don't know, it feels like a ton. What's the pregame story? You can't be rooting for overtime before you place a bet. You just can't be. It's just not acceptable, man. Queens. I don't know. I'll leave that one alone. I'll root the fellas in if they get involved, though. NBA-wise, 48-35. Charlotte's up on Atlanta. LaMelo's inefficient early. He's 3 of 9 from the floor. Does have 9 points, though, due to 3 made threes. We're going to need a little bit more there. Battle back going on right now from Washington. Who's leading the charge? Justin Champagnie. 7 early ones. Rumor has it they thought he had 8 early, so maybe they at least took 3 back. We got to get our get back on this guy. James Harden right now, 9 points with 7 first-quarter free throws. Chipping in 2 boards, 3 assists. Might have a Harden triple-double somewhere under the hat tonight, so we might have to root that in for the people. Knicks up double digits on the Sixers, 24-14. Bridges with 11 early ones. I was tempted to play some Karl Anthony Towns props, but also I was tired of losing on Karl Anthony Towns props, so I opted against that. You do have, coming up later tonight, though, Dylan Harper for the San Antonio Spurs, over 11.5 points. They have not officially ruled out Stephon Castle, but I will be very surprised if he plays in this game. And I think it sets Dylan Harper to go and play at least 25 minutes in this matchup. And when we have seen Harper get at least 25 minutes, he has scored at least 13, quite frankly, but over 11.5 in 10 of those 13 games. So I feel good about Dylan Harper tonight. I think he's getting only better for this San Antonio team as they look to go out there and win their 6th game in a row and head into that All-Star break feeling pretty good about themselves. So that is going to do it for us here on Game Time Decisions. But you have In-Game Live coming up next on Sports Grid with Scott and Gabe. So keep it right here on a Wednesday night.